evolving digital landscape, for your business to thrive, you must adapt or die. Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the podcast helping you harness the power of AI and marketing tools to revitalize and grow your business. And now here's your host, marketing expert and author of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI, Emmanuel Rose.
Welcome to this episode of Marketing in the Age of AI. Today, we get a chance to have a great conversation with Katharine McMahon, who is a seasoned marketer, started a career in telecom, and now is a storytelling master. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is how and why to bring storytelling in to each and every piece of your marketing tactic. So welcome to the show, Katharine.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so glad. This is one of my favorite topics, so I'm looking forward to nerding out. And I think it's as kind of the seasoned veterans that we are, we living in a time before such amazing targeting and stratifying and specificity in our target market. We had to be a little more well-rounded, and storytelling is one of the fundamental things that I first learned. And so let's just talk a little bit about that, how we develop these stories that are targeted for ideal client protocols or profiles rather, and get these little mini stories put into pieces of content.
Well, as you said, we are both seasoned chickens as opposed to new chickens.
Yeah.
And one of the things is that I see done not ideally by a lot of businesses is they forget who the hero of the story really needs to be.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I love that your great-grandfather started the business and it's been handed down through generations, or you've won 500 awards. That's all well and good. But especially now, like we had more time actually in pre-internet times
Yes.
to capture the attention and draw people in. But attention spans are so short now. If you're not telling a story about actually your audience, you're going to lose them because they have to see themselves to get hooked in.
I love that. Yeah, we have 2.6 seconds to get somebody's attention, and so yeah, you told two good stories just in that little piece, right? One is attention span. Two is it's not about how well engineered your beer is. It's about how people feel when they drink it and taste it.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of great storytelling is, yes, it gets across information, it gets across facts, if you will, but the biggest thing is it draws in your emotions. It makes that heart connection, and it makes people want to stay, because as consumers, we think we buy on rational decision making, but we actually mostly buy on our emotions.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, what are you seeing in these short bits, like, YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels or these short little clips? I mean, where you got like 30 to 45 seconds. What kind of structure are you seeing for those short pieces right now?
The biggest thing is the hook. What do you hear in those first nanoseconds sometimes, but certainly the first couple of seconds that really draws you in? And with shorts versus longer form content, you almost have to kind of drop people into the middle of the story.
Yeah.
So that you hook them in and you kind of open this little mini story loop with whatever your hook is, whether it's a good question or it's how XYZ, we used to not have the internet. How do people market then?
Right.
Like, younger generations will be like, yeah, how did they market then?
Right. Yeah.
So it draws them in, it pulls them into the story. And I forget who originally said the quote, and I think it's actually been attributed to a couple of different writers, but making things short is actually much harder.
Yeah.
And I think it was either Emerson or Twain that said, I apologize for the length of this letter, but I didn't have time to make it shorter." And when you think about short form video content,
Yeah.
you need to remove anything extraneous.
Yeah, that's a good point. It reminds me of the way that Hollywood action movies open, right? Kind of in the middle of the story in an action-packed scene, and then there's some little mini conclusion, and then they fade back to the beginning of the story.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons the mechanism of flashbacks works so well,
Mhm.
is because it opens the story loop in your mind.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I guess how do we still integrate kind of this archetypal hero's journey into these pieces?
I think one of the challenges is in short form, we try to do too much of that.
Uh-huh.
And it's really, when you think about it, I need a hook because you need to watch it. And it needs to be just one tiny piece of the problem with closing the story loop enough that it makes them curious to learn the next little bit. So if you think about good movies, even, you don't try to do every storyline. That's why they do sequels
Right. Yeah.
and make lots of money off the sequels.
Right.
Is they bring something to a conclusion, but they've left enough open questions that you're willing to pay when the next book or the next movie comes out. And we need to do the same thing in our marketing content. Answer a question, but also leave room for the next piece.
Yeah, I think that is an interesting question. And then, like how much do we tell, or even just in an email, right? Like how much do we tell? How much pitch should we have in that email versus just talking about outcomes?
Well, there's multiple questions in that.
Yes, yes, there are.
I'm actually going to kind of start with the last piece, which is how much pitch. Here's the reality: in every piece of content, whether it's an email, it's a short form video, it's your website, you should always have a next step. There should always be some form of call to action. And just so your audience knows, I come from a story brand, Donald Miller's story brand background, and he is very big on call to action. So I am also, I have been indoctrinated in that. But when you think about it, what's the next one thing that you want them to do? Because again, we have short attention spans. So if you're composing an email, is it just, if it's maybe a welcome sequence email, is it just to get them on board with, I want you to open my next email when I send it?
Right. Yeah.
And it might be no more than just, this is the next expected behavior. And I think a lot of times we overwhelm our audience with too many options. Well, if you want this, click this link. And if you want
Right.
this, click that link. And we're bombarded with so many messages every single day as consumers, as humans on this planet,
Yep.
that as marketers, we need to make it very easy and clear for what we want our reader or our audience to do.
Yeah, and I think what you're bringing up there, where you end up kind of splattering all these CTAs up, is lazy ideal client profile development, right? Because you're not really talking to any one person. You're trying to cover all the bases versus saying, I know this is what Katharine needs right now because she fits my perfect ideal client.
Yeah. And one of the things, because I speak to a lot of in person, like local business groups and stuff, which are mostly smaller businesses. And I get my product's good for everyone, or I get well, Coke or Apple, market to everyone. And it's
Yeah.
like, first of all, small business marketing should not follow the playbooks of big brands. Big brands have a
Thank you.
lot more time, a
Yeah.
lot more money, a lot more staff.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
the latest figure I saw is Coca-Cola spends 4 billion with a B on their marketing every year.
And that's
They can
1 year.
afford to market.
Yeah, 1 year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But even if you look at the big brands, if you look at Coca-Cola, not only do they have different products and therefore different marketing campaigns for different segments of their market, they also put out very targeted the people that are going to respond to the polar bear and the um, Santa Claus commercials are
Yeah.
not the same people that are going to respond to the consumer generated content, more funny videos. One's
Right.
very nostalgic, one's more provocateur type brand. So even the big brands are actually all talking to a very specific customer in each
Yes.
piece of content.
Yeah. I would say especially the big brands, right? Like they're very focused on those specific needs that each of us have in the consumer stage that we're in. Uh, so how do you structure in general a marketing campaign for a small business? Let's say somebody who's an attorney or a health club. What's the process that you go through in order telling that story of outcomes for that business?
Well, I start with what you already brought up, which is who are we talking to?
Right.
And if they're established and they've done in the past what I would call random acts of marketing or throwing spaghetti against the wall,
Yep.
what I do first is have them go through their existing client base and pick out one or two, maybe a few of truly, I loved working with that person. I got that person just this incredible outcome. And we actually will engineer who we're going to talk to based on those perfect clients. And it could be perfect in a lot of ways. It can be, I know if I work with this business profile, I get the best outcomes for them. Doesn't mean I can't help other people, but
Yeah.
those are the ones I can move the needle. Or this type of customer is so easy to work with, and I can work with them all day long. So, really, the foundation of any campaign, that's the first piece. And then I also look for what we in marketing speak call product market fit, not how I talk to my customers about it, but really looking at is their product or service or even what I call an offer, like how they've packaged things, going to actually meet a problem that that ideal person has.
Yeah.
And then each campaign is actually designed for almost micro problems. Like in this moment, in this part of the buyer's journey, what do they need to hear, see, experience to take the next action, whether it's downloading a lead magnet or buying a small offer, or maybe that they're at a point in the journey where they want, big package, one-on-one type work.
Yep. Well, I love it. I love what you're saying about building an ideal client profile and then looking at the content journey and then building out for those micro problems or micro challenges they're trying to solve. So where are you seeing some efficiency in the storytelling with the AI tools?
What a beautiful topic. I was literally just having a conversation about this earlier. So I think one of the things that professional marketers, especially if they work for agencies or they're freelancers are really worried about AI because they're like, well, instead of hiring me, businesses are just going to go and use ChatGPT or Gemini or one of the many other tools out there. But here's the thing. First of all AI is input output based. And if you as the business owner don't understand the nuances, like we were just talking about really how do you focus and define that client? How do you focus and define the problem? You can get output that's not great.
Yeah.
However, what it's great for is one of my friends defined it as AI is a great intern.
Mm-hmm.
They are great at going and getting data and pulling in tons of research information. They're good at getting rid of, they do what I would call messy first drafts.
Yep.
Because, sometimes no matter how many years of experience we have, we're looking at a blank page and we're going like, I don't know what to say today. And so sometimes what I use an AI tool that is very specific only for professional marketers. And it's great because it becomes my thought partner. And I'm like, okay, here's the client scenario. Here's the people I'm trying to reach. What are some topics I should be thinking about?
Yeah.
And it will go and pull in, trending topics and things like that. It's like, oh, all right, that one topic, give me some hooks around that one topic where
Yep.
they'll give me, ideas or questions or starting point. And that gets me started. But it should always be a partnership, at least until we get to Terminator. Robots can't act on their own.
Yep.
They still need our guidance. And I think as much as we've got all this adoption of AI right now, what we're already seeing is algorithms are starting to prioritize or deprioritize based on the likelihood that it's completely AI generated. And the audience is becoming more savvy. Now, percentage of the audience does not care. They just want their information. Like,
Sure.
Tell me a good story, make me the hero of the journey, solve my problem. I do not care if you used a robot or you wrote it yourself. But we long for human connection. And at least at this point, the robots, the tools can't get us all the way to really making that true connection, but they can certainly help with a lot of the grunt work.
Yeah. So besides the professional level tool, what are you seeing some value in that is available to the rest of us?
Well, if any of your audience is professional marketers, I am not an affiliate, I do not get paid for this, but Hot Goss is the marketing tool that I use, which is designed for professional marketers. And it is not a .com, it is a WTF domain. If people want to look it up.
Nice.
It was created by one of the most brilliant people I have ever had the privilege of meeting. But I use ChatGPT for some things. I use the free version of ChatGPT because I don't have need for the paid features. I use Gemini a lot. One of the interesting applications of AI combined with marketing, and I think you may know the creator, the Zenith Project, which is Ryan's product, is using AI for lead generation on LinkedIn, but in a way that is very sophisticated. And again, starts with the ideal client, as opposed to these spam bots that we see out there. I think there's a lot of application with AI getting more and more integrated into what we call chatbots and chatbot type applications, where you can just, unlike the older versions, you can deeply train AI in a way because it's able to sort through so much information at such quick speeds. I think there's some great marketing applications there as well.
Yeah, well, those are all great tools, and anybody who hasn't started testing needs to get testing as soon as possible.
Definitely. And what most people don't realize is AI is already in our life, whether we're deliberately embracing it or not. If you have spell check on your computer, most of the spell checks are using some form of AI behind them. A lot of the help functions in software we're using are AI driven. If you're interacting with chat, somewhere. They
Yeah.
are probably using some form of, even if it's just like a large language model type AI behind it. So we're already using it. So why fight it? If it can make our lives easier.
That's right. Free us up from some tedious things so we can have some more time to do creative things. That's how I like to think of it.
Yeah. And as a strategist, like, my clients need my brain working on the big problems.
Yep.
And so if I can use AI to jumpstart, the more executional things, they actually get my brain on the things that are most important to them.
Yep.
Versus the things that aren't the best bang for their buck, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I love this idea of getting a good hook and then building some excitement around that hook and then leading people into the next step. That is a powerful reminder of what we need to be doing as marketing professionals. You and I could talk about this for another hour, but I appreciate the time that you have spent thus far. What type of clients do you like to work with, and how do people get in touch with you?
I love the mission-driven, service-based businesses. I do tend to work with more women than men, but I work with both. I occasionally, after people see my website, if they happen to be a gentleman, will be like, "Will you even work with me?" If we are values aligned, those are the people that they still want to make money,
Yep.
but they have a bigger purpose to their business. They're doing good in their world through their business. And I love those people because my skills can help amplify that. The biggest problem I solve is when they're spending time, money, and resources on marketing and they're doing kind of that spaghetti approach.
Yeah.
I can come in and really help get the right strategy and foundation so that they get more from their budgets. So those are the people I love working with. People can find me on LinkedIn. That's probably the easiest channel to find me, or my website is phoenix818.com, which is right behind me, although there's no colon in the website name. Those are the two best places to find me because I love working with people that are changing the world.
Yeah, beautiful.
Not necessarily nonprofits, but people that are changing the world.
Well, that's great, and yeah, I love the angle that you come from telling good stories and making the customer the hero of
Yes.
the business's product. So very powerful, and I really appreciate your time, Katharine, and thanks so much for joining me today.
I've loved it, and I always love chatting with you.
All right, thank you. Have a great evening.
You too.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emmanuel on LinkedIn.